Dylan Gibbons, you've got good rides on Saturday. Duke de Sessa for Ma Eustace in the Doncaster, a former UK horse that's got group form over there from a mile up to almost 2 miles.
Yeah, and probably the most pleasing part too is when you watch a couple of his replays, he's run through some slop, so if this rain keeps hanging around and makes Randwick nice and wet, that mile's going to feel a lot further, but he'll seem to love that.
You rode him to win a barrier trial recently at Warwick Farm. What was the feel like?
Yeah, it gave me a great feel. He just tanked me along in that trial, and I wanted to try and give him something to chase in the trial, but he just towed me to the front, and the most pleasing part was he didn't worry about the other horses. He just went where I pointed him, and I know you can't get carried away at barrier trials, but look, he gave me a great feel. He did exactly what I wanted and gave me a really strong feel right through the line, so he seemed to tick all the boxes that he could have done that day.
All the good lightweight jockeys have got rides in the Doncaster, and your father's included in those. He's on Nugget, also for Ma Eustace. So you're going head-to-head with your dad in a major Group 1. That's got to be a first, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a first black type race together full stop, and to do it in a Group 1 Doncaster, look, once the barrier's open, you know, it's elbows out, but look, it's something that we're looking forward to, and be something cool, you know, that we look back on to say that we both rode in a group, not only a Group 1, but one of the feature Group 1s of our calendar. So it's a huge thrill, and look, if we happen to chrono that one, it might be a bit awkward for whoever runs second.
Some think that rival jockeys might be short on advice if you go looking for it for a race like that, but I guess he's your dad. He has to give you advice if you ask.
Yeah, well, at the moment he seems to keep coming to me, so we'll chop and change that as we go.
And finally, for your boss, Chris Lees, you're on peer pressure in the English size. A bit of a throw at the stumps, but you're better off in it than out.
Yeah, most definitely. And look, she's only had 2 goes, and both them runs have been over short courses where she's been run off her feet and flashing late. And like you said, it's a massive throw at the stumps, but she's only taken on her own age group, so she gets up to a suitable trip, which she's unknown at. But you know, from riding her and speaking to Chris, you know, we all thought 14 would be around her pet distance. So she finally gets to a right trip, albeit a Group 1. But look, she's only got to run top 4, and she makes herself a very valuable mare.
Karen McAvoy, you're on Zoo Gotcha for Chris Waller on Saturday in the Doncaster. Fantastic ride.
Yeah, looking forward to riding her. You know, competitive handicap, but she's got a good record at Randwick and at the mile. So rode her a few times since her last win there in the far lap, which was a good win, and she seems to have trained on nicely. So dash of rain around is going to suit, and yeah, she's a live chance in what's a competitive Doncaster.
It's got 50.5. How close to that will you get?
Yeah, we'll do my best to get 50.5, but rode 51 a few weekends ago. So Chris has given me the option to ride half over, and yeah, we'll be looking forward to getting there on Saturday and getting amongst them.
Rocketing by in the TJ Smith will be at odds, but it was at odds last time around in the spring when it won the Sydney Stakes.
Yeah, and he doesn't mind a dash of rain either. So yeah, he's up against a stellar lineup as we know. We've got the best sprinters in the land, but he's been running some nice races in good fields. So you know, he's another horse there that can run well at each way odds.
Mark Twain in the Derby, and that stable only comes to Sydney with good horses, as we saw last weekend with Prowess. You'll be looking forward to that one.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he's a Kiwi coming over off a nice fast finishing 4th there in the Derby back home in New Zealand. So no worries with the trip, and you know, he's in the race up to his ears, I feel. So nice pick-up ride for me.
Darren Beadman, Godolphin, of course, well represented in the majors on Saturday, including Golden Mile in the Doncaster. Has it been a bit of a challenge to find the right big race target for that horse?
Oh, not really. He's a Caulfield Guineas winner. So, look, we just he had a little bit of a setback early in the prep, and it's been a while coming to get him to the Doncaster, and hopefully he'll be primed and fit enough for the event. He was a little bit fresh the other day in the George Rider, and just did the important things wrong. Was a little bit keen and blew the start, so I think that'll sharpen him up nice for a race like the Doncaster. Nice lightweight. He's won the Calendar Presnell. So look, you know, he's very much a live chance.
In the TJ Smith, you got Paul Ellie, and of course, In Secret, fast rising as one of the most popular horses in the country.
Yes, you know, two very, very good candidates in the race. In Secret, well, you know, her form is just outstanding. You know, a dual Group 1 winner. She loves Randwick. She's won there. So obviously, weight for age, a little bit different scene for her, but look, you know, she's a classy filly, and they'll want to be on their A game. And Paul Ellie, he had a nice little mid-prep trial, was supposed to run in the William Reid last Friday, but drew bad and trialled nicely on Monday, so that just ticked him over nicely. He's drawn well to get a good run.
Pericles in the Derby has been threatening to be a major chance in this race for quite some time.
He certainly has. Like, you know, what he did first prep in Melbourne and was able to run in the VRC Derby. He just wasn't seasoned enough for that race, but hopefully that prep seasoned him up nice, and both his runs, all his runs have been outstanding this preparation. Last start he was 3 weeks between runs, and he was just a little bit above himself and a bit fresh, and probably run his race before he got to the gate. So just told on him over the concluding stages. He just loomed to win, but obviously that little bit of a break between runs had an effect on him, but certainly up to the class. 1.5 miles is maybe a question mark, but he's drawn a soft gate to get a soft run.
Cylinder in the English size, a great second in the Golden Slipper. How's the horse progressed since then?
Yeah, he's come along in leaps and bounds. You know, he hit the line, you know, with a lot of purpose and a lot of gusto in the slipper, and took a good one to beat him. He's drawn ideal again, where he's drawn soft, and you know, I still think there's probably a smidge improvement in him before the slipper. So I think that run would just tune him up nice for a 7 at Randwick.
Finally, if I can just take you down memory lane, going back 27 years since you won the Derby on octagonal, 32 years since you won the Doncaster on superimpose. They were great memories for you.
They were. It makes me feel like a spring chicken when you rattle those numbers off. But no, they were great years, great memories, and something I'll treasure forever.
Would be a good Derby on Saturday to top that one.
It would be, yeah. No, it was a very good Derby with Occy, and no, it's been a good race to me.
Jay Ford, you've picked up a great ride in the Doncaster Hope in your heart. One of the best performed horses we've seen in Sydney in recent months.
Yeah, she's certainly going very well. Kerry's done a really good job with her. Coming into a Doncaster, goes right down in weight, very consistent horse, and she looks a very good ride.
Finished on well last start in the Coolmore. You would have been watching that.
Yeah, certainly. She closed off well on a day where it was hard to make ground. So gives us a lot of confidence, and hopefully the track stays soft, because she really likes that. And like I said, she looks a good ride, obviously drawn awkwardly, but what looks to be a very wide open Doncaster.
You mentioned the draw, 23 into 19 with the emergencies out. That's only a slight improvement, I guess. What sort of plan or non-plan do you go into a race with?
Pretty much open book. Look, she's a horse. She doesn't possess a lot of gate speed anyway, so we're going to find ourselves, you know, in the second half of the field. Obviously, the draw isn't ideal, but it is what it is. And, you know, she's a very consistent horse who tries hard, and her natural style is to get back. So I don't see it as a huge concern, but obviously we're going to need a bit of luck to go our way.
It's turned into a lightweight jockey's race, the Doncaster. 50.5 for your horse. Any trouble getting down?
Pretty light week. I have to drop a few kilos, but I'm fairly light as it is. Obviously, when these handicaps come around, you know, it gives some of us lighter riders a chance to ride in some of these better races, and she looks a good ride, and happy to do that.
Massive pressure on days like this for the jockeys in particular. It's a lot of intensity with so much prize money up for grabs, but you've been on the world stage as well as at home with success. I guess that stands you in good stead for races like these.
Yeah, I've been around long enough now, so had plenty of experience and had some success. So although big prize money and a big day, just another race and go out with the same attitude.
Tim Clark, you're on Alligator Blood in the Doncaster. He'd be one of your favourite horses.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to be getting back on him on Saturday. He obviously had his first couple of runs in Melbourne, winning another Group 1 and then running well in an All-Star Mile. So he's come back up in good order. He got the chance to ride him yesterday morning. He galloped well on the Kenzo. So really pleased to be back on him. He's a big-time performer, and you know, he's got his fair share of weight, but well deserved. And I'm sure he'll tough it out for us once again.
First start in Sydney for 2.5 years for that horse. You're in barrier 12, so centre of the field. How far forward would you like to be?
Yeah, he'll race prominently. It just depends on just exactly how fast they go to exactly where he posies up. But he'll be heading forward early, and then sort of sum up the situation as we go along. But he's a versatile horse. He won the Stradbroke from a fair way back, and he obviously led in them sort of weight for age races during the spring, and even first up sat in behind them and was too good. So he's very versatile, but we're just definitely heading forward that first bit to find a spot.
You're on the cult figure horse Shelby 66 in the TJ Smith, struggling to find its best form. At least it's wet though.
Yeah, the more rain, the better for him. Obviously, I thought last week he was probably one of his better runs. He wasn't beaten too far. Obviously, a very hot race. It's a great racer. One of the strongest TJs we've seen for a long time. So he's going to need it very wet, but hopefully he gets conditions to suit. He can run an improved race.
Major Beal in the Australian Derby. Good run in the Tulloch last weekend, and that's always been a good pointer to this race.
Yeah, he's going particularly well this time in. His form's great. He probably he's been in 2 really fast run races his last couple, and it's just sort of set it up for something to get him late, and that was the case on Saturday. But he was very brave and still was coming back on the line, so it gave us confidence that he'd be able to stretch out to the 2400 and drawn very awkwardly, but see how it plays out early. But the horse is going well.
And bases loaded in the English size. Have been able to keep up with the other 2-year-olds, but looking like it just wanted the 1400. They've been a fraction sharp for him. Yeah,
definitely. I think that getting out to that trip will suit him. 4th run, first prep, but he's a tough, resilient sort of colt that handles everything really well. So he's been form around Shinzo. Obviously, it's top class form. So that's going to hold him in good stead. And I think that the tempo of a 1400, he'll get into a nice rhythm up on speed, and he'll prove hard to get past.
Tommy Marquand, you've got a very good ride in the Derby. On stroke of luck, it's still trying to get out in the Tulloch Stakes.
Yeah, look, it was one of them last weekend. If I'd have knocked everyone over and got out, I wouldn't have been able to ride him in the Derby anyway. So look, it was a really nice setup for this weekend, and look, he was luckless in that, so hopefully he gets his luck this weekend.
I guess if there's one positive, we found out how good he is, and he wasn't overtaxed.
Yeah, 100%. Look, backing up a week later, obviously, while it's more than doable, if you sort of have a sort of really heart-ripping run, it can be hard to bring him back to the races the following weekend, and they remember it. So look, he finished off that last sort of 10 strides really nice, obviously covered up in behind them, couldn't get a run, so look, he should have plenty of gas in the tank, and it just opened up his lungs a bit for this weekend.
That's for John O'Shea, and of course you've got Cafe Millennium in the English size as well for John. He likes the big Randwick track. You won on him before you got hurt back in February.
Yeah, it's about the last thing I remember from that day, actually. He was really impressive. Obviously, he ran again since and didn't quite get the luck in running he probably needed just to sort of really find his flow. But obviously, trialled him since, I've ridden him since at home as well, and he looks super. It's just a case of whether he can sort of work it all out in time and get running. But he's a horse that just has something a bit special about him, and hopefully this weekend he'll work it out in time.
Brenton Abdullah, you've got going global in the Doncaster for Chris Waller, US horse with a very good record in group races around this distance.
Yeah, she's a Group 1 winner, one of Delmar Oaks, and a lot of her form's sort of probably on firm ground, so it's a bit of an unknown if the track does get that a bit more water on it. But she looks a quality mare over there. Got to respect Chris running her first up in it. So look, I think she's obviously gets in with 53.5. She's drawn a nice gate, so if she brings anywhere near her best foot forward, then I'm sure she'll be a live hope.
You try to go forward from that low draw?
I'm not sure. I haven't done enough of her to have a look, so I'm sure Chris will have a game plan, and I'll have a look a few more at her replays later in the week.
Private Eye's another one drawn near the inside. One of your favourite horses, no doubt?
Yeah, he's a favourite. So I was happy with him first up. He sort of dropped the bridle at 1,000 and he was never in the race. So for him only to get beat a length and a half, I thought it was a good run. Second up, TJ. It's obviously probably one of the hottest sprint races you can get. So he'll have to bring his best foot forward, but he's a good quality sprinter, and I'm sure he'll run well Saturday as well.
Domingo's an interesting ride in the Derby for John O'Shea. It's been going around at Wyong and other places. It's got to step up, can it?
Yeah, look, I find these 3-year-olds, once they get past a mile and a quarter, then, the form can come from everywhere. So I did win an Oaks on a Maidener. And I think he's a horse that, he's had 3 runs at 2,000 plus, and he's won 2 of them, and the other one time he fell. So he's a bit stiff not to be 3 from 3 at 2,000 plus. So he gets back to the 24 here. I'm sure he'll run the trip. We'll just find out if he's classy enough.